Peace and blessings, everybody. So this is Halimah de Oliveira from BUNHD. And the name of this podcast is Maintain Your Islamic Identity While Being a Boss Muslimapreneur. And I started this podcast because I wanted to empower more women to live their absolute best life and be a boss in business. And the reason why this is important to me, so for those of you that don't know, my name is, of course, Halimah de Oliveira, and I am the CEO and founder of BUNHD, which is a transformational coaching company. And the business was started out of the need for me to impart some of the knowledge that I've had in business, the 20 years that I've been either in business for myself or working for a corporate, in the corporate arena. And I wanted to impart some of my knowledge on other women. And I wanted it to do it in a way to where it was transforming, that I didn't just motivate women to start a business or inspire them to start a business, but to transform their whole mindset and their state of being, kind of shake up their life, if you will. And I know you guys don't know me, some of you don't know me yet, but I'm a shake up the world type of, person and Muslima. And I just feel like, what the world needs is a little bit more love, and what the world needs is a little bit more, some more people that are just passionate about helping other people. And so BUNHD was birthed out of that, just being passionate about helping people and wanting other women to succeed. And I help women of all faiths and all walks of life at BUNHD. But when I present myself as a Muslim woman's business coach. And the reason why I do that is because there are not enough Muslim women that are an example for other Muslim women. And just like, magazines and just like books, children's books, etc., and, just media itself, it's amazing to be able to see yourself written on the pages. It's an empowering and an uplifting thing to be able to see yourself on the cover of a magazine, to be able to see yourself in media or on TV and be able to say, okay, there is a representation of me, and I too can do this because she can. So what I did with BUNHD is that I made it a place for women to be able to come as they are and to leave as who they truly wanted to be. That little girl, that 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old girl that they were so many years ago, and that they are able to be what that girl wanted them to be. Not something that they settled for because that was what was available, not something that they had to find themselves in, not a job that they had to find themselves in because they need to pay the bills, and that this was the job that was hiring, or this is the job that would take them fresh out of college, or that would take them after they finished being at home with a young child. So I wanted to create a place for women to go, and a place for women to be their absolute best self once they went through the program. I wanted them to be able to see that was possible, and to see what was possible. So that's the reason why I created BUNHD. And so HD are my initials, but it's also a, short for high definition. So how do you live your life boldly? How do you live your life out loud? How do you just live this absolutely amazing, life? And I'm going to read you, just the definition of what high definition means. So when you go to, when you look at it as with regards to the television, it says a high degree of detail in an image or screen. And I think that is actually something that we can translate over into ourselves as human beings, that for me, I am extremely transparent with my clients and just with people that I meet in general. And I'm that way because I feel like when a person understands my story and they understand where I come from, and that through all of that pain, through all of that strife, and through all of those things that I have gone through, that I have still persevered and I have still made it through, that they are now more apt to say, okay, well, if she can, so can I. And I know some people subscribe to the ideology that, I am not her and she is not me. So why should I feel like, if she can, I can? So I do understand that. I am just saying that I'm a trailblazer and I'm the blueprint. So just, our stories may have some similarities, but I'm not telling you to be like me at all. I'm actually asking that you used my example, that I am being my most authentic self, that I am being my truest self. So, I am at a state of awareness that I know that the person that I was yesterday may not be the person that I am today, because I may have learned something and I may have been through a circumstance that taught me something. So therefore, I cannot be that same person that I was yesterday. Every day I'm going to be at a different level of awareness than I was the day before. So I am constantly evolving and constantly changing. So this idea of BU and HD may be different from day to day. And what I'm saying is I'm saying that that's okay. And the definition on this one is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And what this says is, it says, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. It says having a very clear picture and a wide screen. And I love this definition because, again, that transparency. So I am clear on who I am. I am clear on the message that I want to deliver. I am clear on who my client, who my target audience is. And I cast a wide net because of that. So I can, I can depict out to the world a wider vision of what it means to be UNHD. I can put out an image, a wider image of who Halimah de Oliveira is. And this is an image that, young girls growing up, that they can take a look at and say, hey, if she can, so can I. There is a girl, a Muslima girl that's out there that may find the cure to cancer. There is a Muslima girl out there that may do research that, may, be able to help the brain with regards to Alzheimer's and dementia, be able to slow that down. We don't know what's out there until we pull it out of ourselves. We don't know what we're capable of until we pull it out of ourselves. But we will never get to that point if we don't challenge ourselves. So BU and HD is not just about motivating a woman to move. It's not just about inspiring her to want to do more. It's about transforming her and transforming her mindset that she feels that these things are possible. So that's BU and HD and who I am and what I bring to the table in a nutshell. And the reason why I came up with this podcast idea of maintaining your Islamic identity while being a boss Muslimapreneur is that I wanted women to understand that they can essentially have it all while still being, this amazing Muslima. They can have it all while, they're being a mother. They can have it all while, they're being a wife. That none of this will take away from, having a business is not going to take away from your Islamic identity. It's just prioritizing things throughout the day. Salat, those are the first things that you want to, put down in your calendar are the salat times. If, you could be, working for someone else and salat should be a priority. And it should be even more of a priority, with your business, because now you control your time. You have control over your time. So my goal for, maintaining your Islamic identity while being a boss Muslimapreneur is showing women what's possible. So I invited 3 guests and they have all graciously accepted. So week 2, week 3, and week 4, inshallah, we will have a guest for each one of those segments. And as a business coach, I encounter a lot of Muslimas who shy away from their dreams to go into business for fear of losing their Islamic identity. And these 3 amazing women, along with myself, are going to show you that that's not the case. It's not going to diminish your role in your home. It's not going to diminish your role as a mother. If anything, it's going to elevate what you bring to the table, elevate the example that you now set for your children. And it will also possibly elevate the lifestyle that they lead and the access of things that you have for them. And a lot of the reason why we don't go into business for ourselves, or we don't feel that we can go into business for ourselves, of course, the diminishing the role in the home, I think, is the biggest thing. But I think that we are our own worst enemies. And I think as women, what we do is we put this kind of like stigma on, if you are a mother, that you can't too be a businesswoman, that you can't have both. And this podcast is to show you that you can, and that you're almost doing your community, your children, your husband a disservice by not going after those things that you feel are important, because you are kind of like putting your things on the back burner, and sacrificing who you are. So essentially, you're not being all of who you are. You're not being you in HD, because you're not birthing and you're not voicing that these are things that you too desire to put forth into the world. So the first week we're talking about the history of Muslimas in business. And I'm sure you can tell who I'm going to talk about today. And then the next, we'll be talking about women's role in Islam. And then we'll be talking about how to be a boss Muslima while maintaining haya, so shyness. And then how to run a successful business while rocking your hijab. And I wanted to touch on these 4 topics in this podcast series because I felt like it was important. I felt like as a business coach, I encounter these women that have this interest and have this desire. But what keeps them from that is they don't want to be seen as this manly figure. They don't know how people are going to receive them. And I see this a lot with women that observe niqab. And I see this more with women that observe niqab than I do with women that observed, just hijab. And, it's like, well, how will people perceive me? I'm not going to take off my niqab. So for those that don't know, a niqab is the face veil that some Muslim women wear. And I feel like, there's this fear that I'm not going to be received well because I wear a niqab. And my answer to that is someone can see that you're smiling. I can tell when a niqabi is smiling versus when she might be thinking hard, or she might be, doing something and, it has her mind in a different space and that kind of thing. I can tell all of her facial expressions from her eyes. So if I can tell that, what makes you think that you can't deliver whatever message it is that you have for the world because you wear a niqab? I take it back to our belief, and I take it back to our faith, and I take it back to our level of faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and I'm going to just say it just like this. We all worship the same God, but the Allah that I serve is the King of Kings. And so what that means is that he is above anything that man can fathom. And he is, as enormous as you think of him, as ginormous, or whatever word you want to use as you think of him. And so if that's the case, how dare you diminish what he is capable of doing? And if you are observing your salat, if what you're doing is helping your community and helping, other, people in the world and serving the community and helping other Muslims, why would you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would negate that thing. And anything that you bring to him in prayer and that you ask of him, and it is something that, and you ask him, hey, Allah, is this something that is beneficial to your ummah, beneficial to your Islam? If it is, please make it easy for me to put this out into the world. If it isn't, please take the desire from my heart. If you're praying that prayer first and foremost, anything that you choose to embark on or you choose to embrace, Allah is going to put his blessing on it, and he's going to bring forth the people that you need for that thing. So before I get too ahead of myself, that's a little bit about what this podcast is going to deliver, for us. And then the other thing is that it's going to give you a little bit of history of Islam. And it's also just going to give you that when you own your own business, you're running your own business, you can bring your faith into it. So for a Muslim woman, faith is, to me, maybe the percentages may be off, but for me, Islam is 100% of what I do. It's in 100% of what I do. And then the rest is me working around, working my Islam around, everything else. It's not the other way around. I don't work my Islam around, my day. I work my day around Islam. So, my 5 prayers a day, the first thing that I put on my calendar are my 5 prayers a day. And then we work from there. Is this me doing this going to interfere with the times that I have to make salah? So if it does, then I have to change what it is that I'm doing. Or in the middle of that, I have to acknowledge and say, hey, we're going to take a little break and I'm going to pray. So, if there are other people that are Muslim in the room, hey, you're welcome to join me. But that's going to be something that I pause and I shift. So everything that I do is around my religion versus the other way around. And so with that being said, I just want to talk about the story of Khadija, radiallahu anha, and just talk about the type of woman that she was. And we can see this type of woman in a lot of ourselves. And, Khadija is the greatest example of, what a woman in business and what a woman that is in business that's, Muslim, what she looks like. She's our greatest example of a lot of things. And for those of you that don't know, Khadija was the daughter of Khuwailid, and she was also the wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Nabi. And she married him when she was 40 and he was 25. And even that, I feel there is something to be learned from that, because what she taught us with that is she taught us that it's never too late, to whatever you dream and whatever that thing is that you desire for yourself. It's never too late. That Allah is in control of our destinies, and he will bring us to the things at the time that he sees fit. So, just keep writing those ideas down, et cetera, and keep praying about them, and they will come. And she was this wise, intelligent, gentle, and influential woman. And I believe that if she were alive today, she would be like a mix of like an Oprah and like, I can't even, put my finger on who else's personality, but I feel like she would be a billionaire today. So she was rich at that time. She was a very wealthy woman. And I believe that she would have a billionaire status if she were alive today. And she took on this role that even though she was just this boss woman in business and she could run circles around most men at that time. And then, in just, her daily operations and all that kind of stuff, is that she was this gentle and kind wife as well. And she provided not only moral, but financial and emotional support for her husband. And she believed in him when no one else believed. She was it's the first, woman to accept Islam. And she was just this boss and just confident. And she exuded this strength that was just amazing to me. And it's amazing to me that not only was she older, so she imparted on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she imparted upon him wisdom, but she also gave him the financial backing that he needed to push Islam forward. And I feel like we have to get rid of this, ideology that, this role is the only role that can fit a woman. This role is the only role that can fit a man. I feel that their relationship taught us that he was a provider, even though he didn't provide all of the financial support. So he was a provider in that everything that he received many things for free. People gave them to him just because of his status. So, he was able to, maintain his household off of the things that he was given from different people, etc. So he wasn't lazy. He cleaned, around his house and things like that. So we have to look at, what is our role, and then how we play out that role doesn't really have this a set way. There's no set way. There's only what you and your spouse, or if you are in take part in polygyny, that there's no set way that this is supposed to go. And I think that if we kind of are more receptive of there being that we make our own way and navigate our own way, it will take a little bit of that pressure off that, well, I can't, run this business because I could possibly be making more money than my husband. Well, how about you both participate in the business? Or how about, you build up this boss business, and then you help elevate him and help him build up a boss business. And then you guys have this just boss empire. There's so many ways that you can look at this when you look at their story. So, I think it's a great segue into, the next part of, the topic here in the podcast. And that's, as women, we kind of, we're the backbone. We're the backbone of our households. We're the backbone of our husbands and our children. And we're always doing for, our families and for our children. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at what point do we take some time for ourselves and we take the time to birth those things that we have in our bellies, or those things that we want to get done? And what I want to tell you is that you can build a boss business on 1 to 2 hours a day. I'm here to tell you that 8 hours that you think that it's going to take to build this boss business, like, that's not necessarily a reality. I'm here to tell you that I have helped women who are currently in 9-to-5s move from 9-to-5 employees into full-time entrepreneurship. And I have some women who have made entrepreneurship their part-time. So they're working their 9-to-5 job, but on the side, they're building this amazing business that is leaving them fulfilled. That 1 to 2 hours a day that they're putting in, that effort that they're putting into it, they're reaping not only the financial benefit, but they're getting gratification out of it. And as a Muslim woman, that's only going to elevate your family. If you are feeling good about yourself, you're going to impart that on your children. You're going to impart that on your husband. And on top of it, the financial rewards that come with it, an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. What would that do for your family? So with 1 to 2 hours a day, you building this, extra income, what will that do for your family? Will you be able to take more vacations? Maybe you make Hajj, maybe you make Umrah. So, I feel like people put negative connotations on things and they run with it. But money is not the root of all evil unless you make it that. So if, being heard their voice in a while, they've been listening to, the chatter of babies, or, what I mean? They've been putting their all into possibly their husband's business for so long that they no longer know what their voice sounds like. They no longer know that, hey, that burning thing that's in your belly, it's your purpose and it's your gift that's, kind of like hitting you in the stomach, like, hey girl, I need this to come out. I want to birth this thing. This needs to come out. You need to be able to give more women permission to allow their light to shine and to, pull that amazing thing out of them. So it's just a matter of prioritizing your day and prioritizing your time. So, what problem are you answering in the marketplace? And then is there a need for it in the marketplace? So when I say, is there a need for it in the marketplace? How do you test that? You have to talk to as many people as you can about your idea. And a lot of us are to this understanding, and we're operating from a place of scarcity versus a place of abundance. I operate from a place of abundance. So that allows me to be completely transparent. And, when I'm in a room, I'm not afraid to ask a question, and I'm not afraid to say, hey, this is what I'm working on, and I don't have the slightest idea of how to get this done. Who in this room has either been through this or has some experience in this area? And what that does is it lets people know, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the problem that I'm trying to solve, and this is the help that I need. And there may be someone in the room whose gift is that thing that you need help with. I met a photographer over the weekend, a Muslim photographer, and what has been holding me back on a particular project has been the fact that I want to have a Muslima videographer me. I want to have a Muslima take my photograph. I don't want a man taking my photograph. Again, adhering to my, Islamic adab and maintaining my Islamic identity is, I don't want a man necessarily taking my picture. So, handling, that aspect. And that's just me. That doesn't have to be everyone, but that's just me. So with that being said, I want to have a Muslima do that. So when I opened my mouth that was something that I was looking for, hey ladies, do you know there was one in the room? So alhamdulillah, for that. So what I say to you is just kind of as women, I think we need to get out of this place of being catty, and because the only reason why we're catty is because we think that there's not enough for everyone. We get in this space where we feel like, oh, well, this is my territory. You don't own anything. The only owner of anything on this earth, in this galaxy, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't own any of this. With all of this, we are on borrowed time, and we everything that we have is borrowed. We can't take any of this stuff with us to the grave, nothing of it except our deeds. So for me, by helping this woman birth this thing, for me, I'm advancing the ummah, I'm advancing Islam, because the more we take hold of, the billions of dollars that's out there for us to make, is the more that we can sow and put back into our community as women, our community as Muslim women, and our community as Muslims. Is the more that we can, just advance our, community and advance. We are 1.6 billion Muslims strong to date. Of 8 billion people that are in the world, 1.6 billion of them are Muslim. And we should be able to change the narrative that we have going on the news, that in the news and just in the world in general, and just people's, idea of who we are. We are responsible for changing that narrative. We are responsible for taking ownership of that. And with this podcast, it is my hope that more women come to the forefront with that idea. You have women that want to do things for the community, want to open up shelters, want to bring issues like domestic violence, to light, want to bring issues, just different issues that are going on that could save someone from dying, that could save someone's life, that could, save someone from going down a path that they shouldn't necessarily go down. I said this a little bit earlier, is that My goal is for boss woman in business. One of the side effects is that you make more money. How are you using it? Are you giving back to your community? Are you creating a community garden? Are you investing it, or planting seeds in your local masjid and elevating the programs or the type of programs that are in your masjid for the next generation? It's all in what you do with the money. It's not the actual money that is the root of all evil. Going back to Khadija radiallahu anha and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their story is that they used their wealth to progress the ummah. They used their wealth to help Islam to grow. So you can do the same thing with the proceeds from your business. So it's all in what you do and how you spend that time. So what I would say to you is the first thing that you want to do when you're starting a business, especially if you're an aspiring business or you're currently in business and you're stuck and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm passionate about this business, but I don't want to do it anymore because there's no Islam in it. Is you do exactly what I just said, is you go back to your calendar and you start from the drawing board. And the first thing that you do is you put down the salah times and then you work from there. So, beginning with the end in mind, our goal in this life is to get to Jannah, to get to paradise. So work backwards from the goal and come back to your business. And how can I build this business and this boss business, but still take care of my akhirah, still take care of my family, still take care of my children? So, 1 to 2 hours a day is get crystal clear on who you are. So get real comfortable. The first thing that I did, in just being in business, and something that I continue to practice is when I get to a space where I'm like, and I'm at, I go into the next level of awareness of myself. So what I will tell you is that there are different levels of awareness of yourself. And as you move into the different levels of awareness, you become a new you. So you have to get crystal clear on who the new you is. So every now and then, probably every 3 months or so, I take a look at myself in the mirror, and I stand in the mirror and I talk to myself and I say, who are you, Halimah? Who are you today? What are you going to do to advance the vision and the mission that you have for your business? What are you going to do with that? Who is your client? Who are you serving? So get crystal clear on who you are and get comfortable with who you are. Then once you go from there, then that burning thing that's in your belly, if you want to do something that helps Muslim women in business, if you want to have a business with hijabs, if you want to have a like a baking business, or you do pastries or something like that, what is a gap in the marketplace? So life coaches and business coaches, the market is saturated. But what makes me different, what sets me apart, is that I am serving the Muslim woman and I'm taking her from 9 to 5 employee to full-time entrepreneur. So that is my claim to fame, so to speak. So if that is what I am doing, I have created a niche for myself. So I've created an area of expertise for myself. I've created a lane that if there are any women in it, there are very few women in it. And I recognize a problem that there are not more women that are either in business for themselves or just in business general. So that could be working for another company. So there are not a lot of women, Muslim women out there in this area because they feel like they can't maintain their homes, according to the Quran and according to the Sunnah, and they can't, give, their family and their husband their rights, if they're, running this business. And I'm telling you that it's just the fact that you just have to prioritize your day and your time a little bit differently. And you may have to enlist the help of other people. So with that being said, that's what I'm solving for. So that's what my business, BUNHD, is solving for. It's answering that problem. Hey, there are Muslim women out there that truly want to be doing more in their communities, truly want to be making a bigger contribution to the world, but they don't feel that they can. Or they may not be in touch with themselves because they haven't, a young girl to be able to see a Muslima doing the dang thing, excuse, the way that may sound and that she's encouraged that, hey, I can do this while rocking my hijab. I can do this while maintaining my Islamic identity. And these are the examples that I have. And I can birth this burning desire in my belly to cure cancer, to find the cure to, mental diseases, whatever that thing is that she is meant to do. Now you have an example. You have people like Ibtihaj Muhammad that are out here. You have Melanie Turk, who's out here just saying, hey, you can own a hijab company, to the point where we have an Amaya Diggins, who I love. She's one of my favorite people on the planet, where she created a hijab line for teens and tweens. How amazing is that? How amazing is that you have a woman and you have women out here that created a pathway and a lane for this young 10-year-old girl to be able to create this hijab line. And now she is going to change the way young girls feel about hijab. And there will be less young ladies, young Muslim girls, who have an issue with their hijab because she opened it up for them to start that conversation. Like, I feel wonderful in my hijab. So I want to just just impart on you that you are responsible as women in Islam and just as women, period, that we are responsible for the next generation, and we are responsible for birthing our gift. It would be extremely selfish of us for us not to birth our gift, because there is someone that's watching you, and there's someone that's waiting for you to birth theirs so that they can birth theirs. So how dare you be silent, and how dare you be quiet? And this past weekend, for example, I was asked to speak at a function in the library, and it was called Start Where You Are. And I want to impart on you that message. Just start where you are. A lot of us think that we need to have this elaborate setup, and we need to have all of this, this whole plan in place and et cetera. It is in making mistakes, it is working through the fear that you find courage and that you find strength. I was extremely fearful when I started BUNHD. My thing was, what if it just doesn't work? What if I don't have all of the knowledge that it takes to be able to start this company? I don't have a PhD. I don't have a master's degree. So, who am I to think that, I can impart this wisdom on women and but here's what I do have. I may not have that physical piece of paper that says that I have a PhD, but I have over 20 years of experience. So yeah, I do have a doctorate. I have a doctorate in the life that I have led in business and outside of business that makes me an expert in what it is that I'm talking about. So the whole BUNHD and the transformation and going from a 9-to-5 employee to a full-time entrepreneur, I've lived it. I am living it. I know what it takes to run a successful business. This is my second official business that I have run. I had a cleaning business, and I took that cleaning business from making $250 a week to making $7,500 a month. And, and I did that in a matter of a year. So, and then, I continued and I maintained that. I made $250,000 one year. So you're not talking about someone that doesn't know how to get to the money, that hasn't lived this experience. I've lived it. So therefore, I can impart this knowledge on another woman. And as I continue to learn, and as I continue to grow, and as I encounter more women, my level of awareness and my level of understanding and my education continues to elevate. I can learn from anyone, just like you. You can, we can learn from anyone, and we can learn from anywhere. So what I say to you is that start where you are. Start exactly where you are and incorporate your Islamic identity into whatever it is that you're doing. If you have to forego your Islam in order to partake in something, Why would you want to do it? I don't want to do it. If I have to diminish who I am as a Muslim woman to be able to be at a certain job, or I have to look a certain way, I have to dress a certain way, then that job is not for me, because I live in America, the United States of America, and it's built on the backs of immigrants. It's built on the backs of Native Americans who don't look necessarily like the American, the picture of an American that is painted for us right now. So my ask of you is that you to create your own lane and to create your day and to create your business and your life around those things that are fundamentally important to you. And for me, like I said earlier, Islam is 100% of who I am. So therefore, everything that I do evolves around the morals and the values and just the ideology that Islam brings forth. That 5 times a day prayer, if what you're asking me to do interferes with that, then we have to rework what it is that we're doing, or I can't participate. If I'm in a space where there's drinking or there's anything that's just against my Islam, I may not be able to partake in that particular, not maybe, I am not going to partake in that particular thing because it goes against who I am as a Muslim woman. And it's not Muslim woman, just who I am. Islam is a way of life. So for me, and so therefore, if it is a way of life, everything that I do has to take that into account. And are there some gray areas? Are there some areas where I'm confused or I may not know? Sure. But I go and I seek that thing out. And then once I find it out, then I go, okay, well, I need to tweak it. I need to adjust here because I just found out X, Y, and Z may not be the right thing. If that makes sense to you, if you can dig, what I'm saying, what I'm putting down. So, I just want to impart on you that start where you are. So I'm going to give you some tips. So if you haven't already been writing some of the things that I have said down, I would encourage you to get a pen and piece of paper right now, because what I'm going to give you is if you're an aspiring business or if you're already in business and you're not seeing the return that you would like to see in your business, it's time for you to regroup. And there's nothing wrong with that, but regroup with you where you are. Don't think that, I have to start all over. You don't have to start all over. You have to take the knowledge that you have today and move forward with that. So the first thing that I want you to take a look at is if you're in a space where you're starting your business and you don't necessarily have the capital or the funds to start your business, because I'm going to say to you, 90% of the people that I talk to, they don't want to hire a business coach or they don't want to start their business because they don't have all the funds together. It's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have all of the funds together to be able to start your business. So start where you are. So, of course, there are things like crowdfunding that are pretty popular these days. And there are quite a few resources for crowdfunding. You just have to take a look at, I would just type in crowdfunding. There is a Muslim network that offers, or company that offers crowdfunding. I believe it's called Launch Good. So for those of you that are interested, you're more than welcome to go there. And then there are different crowdfunding resources that you can use based on the type of business that you're in. So if you're in IT, there's one for that. If you're trying to start some type of retail line, whether it's hijabs, clothing, etc., there's a crowdfunding resource for that. So just different crowdfunding resources. I would research which one. I think a lot of people look at the GoFundMe. And while GoFundMe is a quick way for you to get funding, I would necessarily go to a crowdfunding that's in your industry. And the reason why I say that is because it offers two things. It, of course, allows you the opportunity to get to the money that you need for your business or whatever campaign you're running. But it also puts you into a network of other people that you can now use as a resource and that you can now rely on and look to for assistance. So I would, take a look at that. The other thing is that you can go in your closet And I know this may sound real simple, but I started with an eBay account and I did eBay valet, and I got just a regular box from like the local corner store, a brown box, and I brought it home and I, chose items, books, I chose belts, purses, some shoes that were, slightly vintage, etc. And I scanned the books in, and then the clothing I had to type in. And then I printed off the eBay valet label, and then I took the box and I shipped it off. I believe it's FedEx. I believe it was FedEx. So you have to drop it off at like a FedEx. It's either FedEx or USPS, and they might use both. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember. I don't handle that a part of my business anymore. My son does. So I don't deal with that day to day. I just shipped off that first box. But anyway, so I did that as a way to get my money to be able to host my first event, to be able to continue my business on, to be able to write my book, all of those things. That's where I got the money from. The very first box that I shipped off was $400 and some odd worth of merchandise in there. I got paid. Money was deposited into my PayPal account, $400 and some odd that I was able to invest back into my business for stuff that I wasn't using, for stuff that I wasn't even using. So the excuse of not having the money is not an excuse anymore. There are different resources that you can use, and some of them are lying around your house that you can use to be able to get to the money. So you can do that with an eBay valet account. And I'm just getting started with the whole Amazon. On Amazon, I'm just really selling books. You can get an Amazon seller account, and you can sell books. You can sell a plethora of things, but I've started with them with books. And recently I received from my last eBay shipment, I received some items back that didn't sell on eBay. So now I'm going to ship them off to Amazon, and, I'll see how that works. But one thing I want to say to you guys is that the average millionaire has seven streams of income. So a stream of income, of course, is exactly what it says. It's the way that you're making money. So I have my BU and HD coaching business. I have my workshops and webinars that I do. I have my book. So Jenna's First Hijab is a stream of income. And then I have my eBay, my Amazon, and Facebook. And I also, from Instagram, I get different things. So I have all these different ways that I'm making money. So there are different ways that you can make money. And if you are liking what you're hearing, or you want to know more information from this podcast, you're more than welcome to email me. And my email address is Halimah, spelled H as in Henry, A as in Apple, L as in Larry, I as in Igloo, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, H as in Henry, at BUNHD.com. So that's BEYOU. N as in Nancy, H as in Henry, D as in dog.com. And I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. If you are on Instagram, you can go to BUNHD on Instagram, and you can shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, or you can actually click on a consultation, and I can get you started with your business. So that is always an option for you. So these that I'm talking about are some things that you can get started right after this podcast, because I want every woman, and men too. So I know some men will be listening in, but my client and the person that I want to serve is, a woman, and, Muslim women in particular, because I understand their plight and I understand their desire to adhere to Islam and the Sunnah and the, in the Quran and all those things. But I want her to be able to see that there's more that she can, there's more that she can do than just, just things around the house, that she can actually do all of it and she can have it all. So with that being said, you want to be able to, get to the money. And I understand that. So here are a couple of like freebie ways that you can get to the money, if you will. And so this will end the first podcast. So just to recap, the goal of the podcast is to empower Muslim women and women in general. So it's to empower them. And I want them to be their absolute best selves and just be a boss in business, whether you're working in a corporation, whether you're working, for someone else, or you're doing both and working a 9 to 5 and your business, or you're just, you went all in and you're a full-time entrepreneur. I want you to be a boss about whatever that is. And I would love for you to share some of your stories with me. Again, I shared my email address a little bit earlier, halimah@bunhd.com. And I would love for you to read up on the story of Khadija radiallahu anha and the story of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I would love for you to just take a deeper dive and look at what that looks like. And I believe that they're the perfect example of how to be a boss Muslima in business and maintain your Islamic identity. And just, develop a niche for yourself. Answer a problem that's out there in the marketplace. But how can you bring your experience, your past experience into that space? How can you make it your own? If you're in a market that is saturated, just extremely saturated, what unique proposition or value proposition can you bring to that space? And that's where I want you to always operate. What is your unique value proposition? And then prioritizing your day and time. Anything is possible if you're prioritizing your day and your time. And this is a new idea that I'm introducing here at the end because I want you to think for the next podcast. And that's, you're prioritizing your day and your time. What would happen to how you feel about yourself when you wake up in the morning? What would happen if you are accomplishing more of what that thing in your gut, that intuition, that burning, desire that you have in your belly? What would happen to you as a woman? What would happen to you if you started accomplishing more of those goals that you have for yourself? And what would happen if, you give yourself your dream 1 to 2 hours? What would happen to your overall, state of being? What would happen? And I will just tell you what happened to me is that I'm awake at tahajjud time. I wake up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, way before, Fajr comes in, and I'm ready to start my day. And, I'm grateful. I just say alhamdulillah for Allah waking me up, on whatever particular day it is. And I'm so grateful that I'm ready to get started and ready to, just do what it is that, has to be done that day to advance what it is that I want to birth. So I'll give you a great example is when I was writing my book. I wrote that book, Jannah's First Hijab. I wrote it after Fajr. I came out of Sujood and Fajr, and the idea popped in my head. And I always laugh with people, and I was like, no, hold on with the idea. Hold on till I salam out. I want to give Allah all of his time. And, I salamed out of Salat, and I wrote Jannah's First Hijab. And of course, I had to tweak some things after that, but it literally took me about an hour to write it. And then after that, I developed everything else after that. The concept, I changed the wording, edited it, I created the illustrations, etc. But all of that came out of me praying and me asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what was next for me. And that next thing was not about me. That next thing was developing something that empowered Muslim young women to maintain hijab, maintain their identity, and just, be okay and be empowered by the fact that there are more women out there like me, and that I should find a sense of strength in the fact that I wear hijab, I rock hijab. So, I give you that example to say that whatever you put your mind to, whatever you pray about, and then you put forth the effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to grant it to you, and he's going to make it easy. He's going to put the people in your path for you to be able to get this done. So I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast. If this podcast has been beneficial to you, I would love to hear some of the, what the positive things that it has brought to you. I would also like to hear if you would like to see more episodes like this, and then what would the topic be? I would love to hear from you. So please, Halimah@bunhd.com. And I want to encourage you to be yourself in high definition. So be you in HD and maintain your Islamic identity by being a boss Muslim entrepreneur.